The Thunderer, Thor, or just a flash in the pan? Well, we're going to talk about the MCU film from Phase 1, Thor 1. Let's jump straight into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of I was about to call it a completely wrong name. I was going to call it something different. It's the Media Mandem YouTube channel, isn't it? Yeah, I think that's what we're doing. It's Junior this time. And hello, everybody. And I've got Tim on the other side of the pipeline.
I've finally been let out the basement, so we can record.
Exactly. And yes. Let's move on. I'm not going to confirm or deny whether that's true, so we'll move on to jumping straight into this film. So yes, we're talking about Chris Hemsworth's first foray into playing the Odin son, the Thunderer, all those fancy schmancy names he has as the god Thor. So first things first, what did you particularly like about this film?
I thought that it was just a nice, simple film. It was a good film. I think everything has to be fantastic or absolute garbage these days, but it was just like a good film. Watched it, I was like, this is pretty good. Uh, I think his acting in it was pretty good. The visual effects I thought were pretty good as well. It left you wanting more, which is always a good sign. If you're like, this is enough. Sometimes either that means it's really good or it's just you can not do with any of it. I think in terms of actual like a film, minus like the comic book aspect, this is probably the best Thor film they've made, in my opinion. So I think a lot of the other things are like, you could say more enjoyable as a book fan or all those sort of things. But as an actual just a film, I feel this is probably the best made one. Maybe that's nostalgia bias there, but yeah, I thought it was good. Phil Coulson was good. Loki was good. The costume design I think was really good as well, and the world building because it's a lot. This was my first exposure to anything Thor related, so it was pretty good how they explained all the lore and all that.
Yeah, really nice. I think I'm inclined to agree with most of that. I think. I think that the costume design was really, really good. I agree with that. I think that as an introduction to certainly the more fantastical side of things in the MCU, it did a really good job. These, kind of not abstract, but interesting. How do you put it? Concepts. That's what I'm thinking of. Things like the Bifrost Bridge and the Nine Realms and all that stuff. It was, this is really weird and fantastical, but it didn't treat it as, this is some weird thing. It's like, this exists and you're going to just accept it and we're going to show it to you. And I think that was a really nice way to go in terms of introducing a character who does seem very different to what we had seen so far in the MCU. I would say this, and I think Ragnarok are probably the best Thor films. And I would agree in terms of if you weren't familiar with him as a character, this is a good film to help introduce you to Thor and the world that he inhabits. I would definitely agree with that. I think his acting overall has improved over time, but I think he did well in this film. In terms of what the script gave him to do, he did it well. He wasn't like, I'm going to bring out the thespian globe level acting, because he's not a thespian, he's not that kind of actor, but he did bring the physicality and the charisma that was necessary for his character. And I think he did it well. Loki, this film cemented him early on, straight away, as that guy that people were like, he's kind of like a villain, but we like him anyway. I think they really they really played that well in this film, in a way that you were like, oh, actually, when you found out that he wasn't really um well, he's Thor's brother, but he's also not, and how he's like his Asgardian, but he's not like it felt kind of sad for him. Then you're like, oh yeah, but he's like also the worst, but he's also the best. Yeah, I think that whole dynamic between him and Thor played out really well in this film as well. So yeah, I would agree with you on those things. So just as you asked me for the Iron Man episode, I must also ask you this also. Do you feel that there's any form of legacy or kind of influence that this film has really carried through for the rest of the MCU or for Marvel or comic book films in any real way, or do you think it's just another good film?
I think it was another good film. In terms of legacy, I don't really know because I feel Thor's characters were weirdly very limited just to Thor,
Hmm.
which was weird. So I think Eric Selvig is the only one that sort of ventured outside of that. All the
Hmm.
other characters, if you think about it, Odin was really OP. Heimdall was OP. Yes, you saw them in like Avengers films with Heimdall at the start of Infinity War, but you didn't
Hmm.
really see them cross over. Whereas like Iron Man characters would, and obviously Spider Man would, um, other characters would, even Hulk, weirdly in the new Captain America film. We'll get to that when we get to that. So Thor's ones were quite limited. So I don't know if
Hmm.
it has a big legacy in terms of other MCU things and how films are made in general, like just the wider cinema.
Hmm.
I feel Marvel got to because even in Thor: The Dark World, I didn't feel they did this it like this. In Thor: The Dark World, we'll get into that review when we get into it, but this I felt was more Shakespearean. It was yeah, trying to show him as a deep sort of character that's the legend brought to life, and I think they did good with it, but I don't think it was
Yeah,
like groundbreaking, basically.
I would agree with that. I think it's Kenneth Branagh was the director for the first film, and that's probably why he comes from that kind of acting background, more of a thespian background. And I think it came out in his directing style, because even the way that they speak in Thor 1, no Asgardian speaks like that almost ever again in the entire MCU. They speak almost Shakespearean level English, where it's,
Mm,
like thou and thus and, you know, yeah, stuff like that. But Thor never speaks like that again. Like when you see him next in, I think you see him next in Avengers,
yeah, it
he
is.
doesn't like that again. He speaks a little bit like that, but it's already starting to like wane off. And it would make more sense for Thor to have that because he's stayed on Earth and he's looking after Earth stuff and he's starting to, be influenced by them. But less so for Loki. He's not there.
Mm,
He's like, I'm doing my thing in it. And especially for someone like Odin, why would Odin not still speak like ye old Englishy type? He just doesn't anymore. But in a
mm,
way, it's a strange one. I feel like it's quite an accurate reflection of what the Nine Realms concept is like in the comic books, because you very rarely see humans go to Asgard or get involved with Asgard stuff. Like Thor's comics tend to be him doing stuff somewhere off Earth, or he'll come back for a reason. He's like, "Oh, I've got to pick this up, or there's something on Earth that I'm doing." But like Asgard and the Nine Realm stuff tends to be very self-contained. It's very separated away from the rest of the other stuff that's happening on Earth, which I think is quite an accurate representation of what the comic books are like. But the MCU isn't a, an opportunity to change that. You don't have to do everything exactly as the comic books do. So it's nice that they kind of try to find a balance between the two. But yeah, the points you made, I would definitely agree with. I think in terms of me answering that same question I posed to you, um, I think the biggest legacy, weirdly enough, from the Thor from I can't even speak from Thor 1 is Thor himself and Loki. Um, More so Loki, arguably, than Thor himself, which is a strange thing to say, but I
mm.
think
Oh
Thor
yeah, I
only
forgot
really
about
looked in. Yeah, I think Thor only really looked in in terms of c- character connection with the audience in Avengers. Whereas Loki, people from Thor 1 were like, yeah, this guy, like we kind of like this guy. But like he seemed like a villain, but he seemed like a villain we don't want to stop seeing. And from the MCU's inception or creation, that was a huge, not to go on this huge tangent, but that was a huge issue that MCU had, where they're just killing off all of these really cool villains because we have to kill them off because we don't know what we're going to do with them. And we haven't figured that out yet. So let's just kill them off for now. But you have this problem where you just keep killing off all these characters you could have used or reused, but they're like, oh, we killed them off. But keeping Loki alive has kept not only him throughout the entire canon of the MCU, but now they've created an opportunity for him to be someone who's a cornerstone of what comes forward or goes forward as well, which is impossible if he wasn't so strongly featured and strongly used in the first Thor film. So yeah, I'd say that's probably their biggest legacy piece is Loki himself. So no complaints there, no complaints there. And also I think just a slight addition to that, I think Loki as a character has also helped modern writers, screenwriters, and film people to show them actually you can make a character who's not an anti-hero. He's not, this weird villain who's not a villain. He's just a guy who does things in a one way and then he develops into someone completely different through
Mm.
experiences. And I think they really did that well with Loki's character because in the beginning you're like, oh, he just seems like the jealous brother. And then you actually he's not. And you're like, actually he's like top tier villain in that. And then in Dark World, you're like, actually, like, I really feel sad for him because of, well, you should have seen Dark World by now. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what you've been doing, but anyway, basically based on what happens to him and Thor in that film, you're like, oh, actually, like Loki's a guy because like he feels things, he gets emotional, like he gets sad and stuff, and then you're like, oh, like he seems like a pretty decent guy, and then I think he disappears for a hot minute. Then the next time I can remember seeing him, and him having like an actual thing to do is like Ragnarok. I mean, yeah, he showed up before then, but yeah, with Ragnarok and everything, oh, like they're a squad again, him and his bro doing bro stuff, and then Infinity War came, and I was like, oh no, oh no, and then that's the easiest way to put it. I mean, people should have seen these films by now, but I still don't want to spoil it. But yeah, that happened, and then the Loki show happened, and you're like, oh wow, like that's such a huge trajectory for a character who seemed like just a side character in the beginning for him to become this guy now. So yeah, Tom Hiddleston's performance is definitely a large part of why that's the case, but also, yeah, them recognizing that a character can have this huge character arc, character development, and you can make him from someone who's just seems like a side guy to the guy. Yeah, I think that's a really cool thing. So my next question and final question is, what would you say can link Thor to Doomsday?
Hmm, I don't know unless, like, for example, he uses the Bifrost or he uses something that was linked to it. Oh, actually, Loki. Link. If you've seen, spoilers, I won't say. Actually, I will say. If you have not seen Loki 2, you need to lock in and watch it. At the end of Loki season 2, he is God of Stories, which basically means he's holding the multiverse together. Doomsday's gonna have to fight this man. He better not kill him, but I think he's gonna have to fight this man. So it's Loki. So they're gonna be Loki fighting. But yeah, they're gonna be fighting. They're gonna be scrapping. Yeah, because that's the only way that he's gonna be able to build Battle World for Secret Wars. So we're saying this as if we already know the plot. We know what happens in the comics, and we know the Russos don't always do what happened in the comics.
Hmm.
So I think,
They might get Loki
yeah,
to be the one who makes Battle World. Never know.
oh, yeah, that could happen. So I think. Yeah, saying it now. I think Loki's he's it's over for him again. I think he's gonna get the Professor X treatment, where he's been killed multiple times. I think it will be over for him. I think that's the only legacy. Obviously, Thor's going to be in Doomsday, but I don't think Thor, the way he is in Doomsday, is basically nothing like he is in Thor one. So
Hmm.
the only
He's also had
similarity,
a huge character
yeah,
arc. Yeah. Yeah.
because his mum was alive then, his dad was alive, he was friends with his brother. He doesn't even know this variant of Loki is alive at this point in time,
Mm.
and his eyebrows were bleached, I think, in this film as well, which makes him look a bit like Sabretooth in the
Yeah.
first live action X-Men
From
films.
X-Men. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think that's it. Loki is the connecting tissue in terms of impact. Heimdall and Jane Foster are alive in, what's it, Valhalla? They showed at the end of the last Thor film, but I don't
Which makes
think
sense.
they're actually going to link that because then the Warriors 3 should be there as well. And but I don't think they thought that out that well, so Loki will be realistically the only link between the two.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I think. Well, firstly, I agree with you. I think that Loki's show is certainly more of the link to Doomsday than Thor's first film, which is weird. But then, obviously, as we go through the loop, there wouldn't be a Loki show if Loki wasn't in Thor 1, so it's like a whole thing. But I don't know. To go off what you said with the Doomsday thing, I don't know, because you could you could have. Sorry, my computer's like, oh, start focusing. I am focusing. I'm recording. What's wrong with this thing? Anyway, you could have Doom beat or kill Loki or whatever, and I don't know. I think the only way that it would make sense would be for no, for Loki to either like a last ditch attempt. See, you could do it two ways. You can either kill Loki, and the multiverse starts to fall apart. Then Doom tries to patch it back together with the Secret Wars Battle World concept. Or you have Doom beat in quotation marks Loki, and Loki's like, oh no, woe is me. Then like he he breaks the multiverse apart and then patches it together in a battle world to essentially imprison Doom there. Where it's
Mm.
like, oh, I'm just gonna kind of mash him up in here, like, or make him feel like he's in control, but I'll like disappear to the background and that. Do a 1-2 puppeteer thing. And by the end of Secret Wars, that's how they beat Doom. Is trying to fight Doom, and Doom's like, listen, can't beat me, fam. Like, this is my world and that. Then Loki's like, but not really though, because I was here all along, my G. Like, secrets and that. Like, you don't know, big man. Then do a 1-2 and just deletes him from the entire universe. But then after that, he rewrites the universe, thus rebooting the entire MCU. Because we need to have someone who can do that. Franklin Reed could probably do that, but I don't know. We'll see. It will probably be him who's the guy who's like, okay, I have to like rewrite everything. But yeah, to be honest, it would be a nice send off for Tom Hiddleston's character to not just be killed off all the time and then never get to have a happy ending. To have him to just be the guy who actually fixes it. It's like, okay, I did the ultimate good deed. I fixed like the entire multiverse. Now I'm peacing out. Like he goes into like that character. I forgot the guy's name, but he's like, yeah, he's like one of those super OP like god type characters in Marvel, and he's just like he's so goated. Like you never see him. He's just like I'm in the corner of the universe over there, sort of thing. Loki could become that kind of person, but yeah, we shall see. We shall see what happens. Thank you everyone for listening to me and Tim rattle on about stuff that we're interested in, which is kind of the entire concept of this channel. Uh, we talked about Thor, or did we talk about Thor? You decide in the comments. I don't know. Is it Tor? Is it Thor? Is it four? Is it four? I don't know. Maybe it's five. Who knows? That's a terrible joke. I'm gonna cut that out. Don't worry. I'm gonna cut it out. Cut it out. I'm gonna leave it in. I'm leaving it in. Anyway, yes, please, let us know what you think in the comment section. Is Thor a film that you particularly enjoyed? What about Chris Hemsworth's portrayal of him? What's your thoughts on, Tom Hiddleston and Loki and all of that cool stuff? Where do you think this film lies in your kind of pantheon of the MCU? Do you love it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you feel indifferent? Let us know in the comments, as well as what you're looking forward to in Doomsday, what you're expecting, as well as with Secret Wars as well. And we look forward to hearing from you. What's the other things you have to do? Yeah, like, share, subscribe. Yeah. Those are the ones. Don't think we have a hype button, do we? So I won't mention that. Maybe we do. I haven't seen it, but anyway, if it is there, press that thing, click it. If it isn't there, sad times for us. Um, other than that, I think that's it. I'm gonna say peace out, but I'll let Tim say his goodbyes.
See ya.
Love it. Thank you. Take care, everybody. Bye.